Well, got her worked up pretty good. Drag helps a little bit, but I think just going over and over and over with the disc is mainly what's breaking up most of the clumps in this clay ground. Not used to working this ground. Been working a lot of the ground out at my grandparents' farm where it's all sandy loam. After plowing, you just disc once and it's like ready to plant. Out here, I mean, I've been going back and forth probably for the last 45 minutes to an hour, and this is only about an acre, so I couldn't even imagine planting acres like this. So we're gonna till it up a little bit more tomorrow and then start planting tomorrow. Well, first update of the video. Not sure how long this is after. I'll have it up on the screen. You can see right behind me here is the rows of corn. And then going down this way is beans. I'm gonna have to spray, probably like 2 weeks. Not too many weeds coming in, but some areas the beans are pretty thin for some reason. You can see right here they're pretty good. Right there they're pretty good. But from here all the way down to here, there's nothing in this row. There's not a whole lot in this row either. That one doesn't look too healthy. There's the one right here. So it's a little bit lower population than I would probably like. You can tell the deer have been in here. Last year, the deer were not here at all in the summer because there was plenty of other beans around. This year, there just happens to be a lot more corn in the fields, in the area. Like a lot of corn. There's hardly any beans close by, so the deer close by are eating my beans. Corn is looking okay too. It's pretty patchy too for some reason. Right here's, I guess, one, but he's not coming up that good. Kind of weird. Down here closer to the road now. I was just right up there showing you that corn. And just like 2 years ago when I had corn in here and corn over there, this corn was a little bit slower to come up and a little bit smaller, but it looks a little closer in size this year. I mean, that side of the plot over there gets a little bit of shade, but this right here is pretty much full sun where I'm at now. Seems like there's more weeds down here in this ground too. A lot more grass down here. Just a lot more weeds overall. Yeah, pretty big patches in some areas for some reason. Right here's a plant, nothing, 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 nothing. Plant right there, nothing all the way up until here. Plant, plant. So kind of weird, but it should turn out. Right in the middle of the field here, it looks pretty good. All the rows are coming up nice. Still maybe a little bit thin, the seeding rate. I mean, we got lots of them coming up there, like a foot gap of nothing. Like a lot of these plants, from here to here, I mean, that's like, maybe, I guess there is one here, but that got nipped off, it looks like. But yeah, a lot of these plants, you know, they got anywhere from 6 inches to a foot or more in between plants. And then you got another row right here about maybe 20 inches away. So maybe a little bit light on the seeding rate, but I know last year I had a spot like this and they really bushed out and they were really big, almost bigger than your thumb and on the base. So I've heard good things about beans being at lower populations. The high populations are only good for weed control. These lower populations, these plants can really branch out and put on pretty good yields. So hopefully the deer don't get in here too bad. Right now it's, you know, their most vulnerable stage. If they get nipped off right there, it's dead. But if they get nipped off like that, then they'll end up shooting up off the side here, both sides kinda. But if they get nipped anything below these two little leaves here, they're completely gone. I just noticed, I took a little closer look, like a lot of these areas, here's some of the beans that first popped up. And then if you look closer, like you can see that these ones barely made it up. Like they're barely alive, they look diseased, sick. And that's not to mention the couple that the deer nipped off already here and there, but that's not too many. This is mainly because, you know, we're planting with the ATV and that's putting them down about 2 inches, with, you know, which is about right for corn, obviously. But we've noticed that, you know, planting with the ATV, it does put the soybeans a little bit too deep. We have the old 2-end tractor at the farm that we can raise up the hitch, and that works better because you can clearly see like some of these beans are just popping up out of the ground, and other ones have been up for a while. So that may be another reason why this stand looks so weak. You can see here must be like a more packed down spot. This one just barely made it up in this heavy clay. This one looks pretty weak too, but if they don't get nipped off, they should survive. It just took them a little bit longer to get up. Some of these plants, like right here's a couple, and then a couple right there, and then a big gap of nothing. Right here's one that got nipped off by a deer. I don't see anything else right in here. Huh. I mean, it should be coming out like at least like this, pretty consistent. And here's another gap of nothing right here. That's a stem of one that got nipped off. That's gone for good. So the deer are getting, right here's another one. Right here's another one that's just getting up. See that? That one's not nipped off. That one's just, that one might die. You can see that they turn, the cotyledons turn yellow and they just end up looking really crappy like that. You see how deep that was? That's like 2 inches. Way too deep. So maybe in the future, I'm just gonna, I was thinking about doing it this year too. I should probably just broadcast the beans and then still drill in the corn. But the deer are definitely getting a couple. Some of them are too deep, like right here's another one. And only a couple end up just right and not getting nipped. So that's probably another reason why, you know, it looks pretty dang thin. So it should look better in 2 weeks when I do the next update. All right, it's been a while since I did an update here right behind the house of these plots. they're looking pretty good since I sprayed. Down here on this end, closer to the road right now, this corn looks really pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit patchy, but I'm just really happy with how everything died off. I've been having so many problems over at my grandparents' farm, where we got tons and tons of water hemp. There's only a few weeds here and there that are still left. Got a pretty good kill. There's a few tough. This is like the worst part of the field right here. I think there was just too many compaction issues. I was turning around this was the last stuff planted. I planted all those beans. I was turning around right here. I planted all this corn. I was turning around right here. And then I came in here and disced this up right before I planted it. And I drilled in rows going up that way towards the house. And you can see there's a couple rows going like this, but there's like nothing right in here. There's a few plants here and there. For some reason, nothing really came up right here. And these rows right here are finally starting to fill in a little better. Right here's some water hemp. I've been pulling out every single one I see down here because there really isn't too many yet. I mean, right here's a couple of them. There must have been like one plant here that dropped a bunch of seeds, but I gotta get those areas under control so they don't end up everywhere in the field. But anyways, you can see these beans are way too thin. Look at that's like 1.5 feet between these two plants, another foot there. They are some very low population beans. They're finally starting to come back after the deer have really nipped on them. The deer killed some of them, and some of them that they nipped are trying to grow back. And these are like the ones that haven't really been picked on too bad. So there probably should be almost double what you see out here. Just a lot of them got nipped off right when they popped up. And some of them are still trying to grow back. So not too many weeds, but if they don't get going, these weeds are gonna catch up. I don't want to have to spray this again because I'm just gonna do more damage, more harm than good if I come through here and crush, because they're getting to the point where if you drive over them, they don't really recover that good. And the corn will not recover at all if you drive over that, but that corn area looks pretty good. Where these beans are, there's a little bit more weeds coming in, but not the end of the world, I guess. This corn up here did not turn out the best either. It's pretty patchy. I don't know if it was just compaction issues as well. You'll see when I get up here. But these beans up here in this full sun area, they look pretty good. They're really starting to branch out. They are pretty low population, but I think they should just really bush out and be like really stemmy, like have a whole bunch of branching, because they got plenty of room to grow. And then here's this corn, pretty patchy. Everything's pretty spotty this year for some reason. And it's just like nothing ever even came up right here. There was a crane walking around down here. I think he might have pulled out some, but that's probably why it's so thin, because usually you don't have issues with corn like not coming up. But anyways, it's looking all right. It could be better. It's not the best beans. It's not the best corn I've ever grown here, but it's gonna be some deer food this winter. I'll take you up to that last spot of corn. That's the best area. Right up here closer to the house, these beans haven't really been messed with that much by the deer, and look at how much better they look. They're way bigger, and there's just more of them. You can see right here, this is pretty recent. There's some tracks right here. They nipped on the tops of all of them, but that's fine as long as they leave this growing point alone. It shouldn't slow it down too much now. But this corn up here is the best looking stuff I got planted back here in the backyard this year. Even this stuff is pretty spotty and kind of like, you know, up and down. There's like some smaller stuff, some bigger stuff. I don't know why that is. Look at how small this plant is. It just doesn't want to grow. And then there's some bigger ones here. I didn't really fertilize these plots, but normally I don't need to. But I mean, the corn looks healthy. There's just some smaller ones, but not the best emergence. But Not really seeing any deficiency, any yellowing or anything, so that's fine. Yeah, this is looking all right. Not the best stuff, like I said, but not the best stuff I've ever grown, but it's gonna work. I haven't really noticed this on my corn in the past. This is a different, faster growing 85-day corn than the field corn we've had in the past, but you can see, since it's a little bit thinner than it should be, especially on these 38-inch rows, a lot of these plants are like branching out like that at the base, like shooting up like suckers on the sides. Like this is two separate plants, but like this thing on the side here, that's not a separate plant, that's part of this. It's kind of interesting to see that. Like, look at that. I've seen that in sweet corn, in some of our sweet corn patches, but I've never really seen that in any field corn I've grown. So I wonder if this side thing here is going to try and grow another ear, but I doubt it. If it does try to tassel out and grow another ear, make up for the extra space that, you know, there should be more plants in here. If this ear, if it does grow one, it probably ain't going to be much of anything, but just kind of interesting to see that. Just more leaves, hopefully to help shade out and canopy as fast as possible here before the weeds start growing again. Like, this is not getting sprayed again. It should take off and really grow here in the next couple weeks. This stuff should be shoulder high in a couple, like 3-4 weeks from now. Well, here we are, final update of the plots in the backyard here. We just got hammered with a ton of rain the last 2 days. We've gotten like 3 inches of rain in the last 2 days, so I'm surprised I'm able to actually walk down here without sinking in. The corn is just exploding in growth. Literally, every day it's growing like multiple inches right now, especially with all this moisture we just got too. It's just really, really taken off. And the beans here, as you remember earlier in the video, they weren't really looking that good, how thin they were, but it looks like they're gonna eventually canopy over. They're not even really close to canopying over yet, but look at these big gaps in here. Like this will never canopy over, but some of these spots in here will canopy over eventually. I got some weeds coming in. There'll be a lot more now with all this moisture we just got, so I might have to come in here with the backpack sprayer and just hand spray a few patches of, you know, bad spots. But it does look like these beans are gonna do something at least. They're definitely way thinner than they should be. They're just starting to flower out. Definitely not the best corn I've ever grown here, and definitely not the best beans I've ever grown. This is some pretty patchy corn up here. I don't know why this stuff's so small compared to that stuff, and that stuff up there I'll show you next. Closer to the house, that stuff's really tall. But these beans are coming along, but like I said, they're really thin. They're gonna be really branched out and bushed out. They're gonna have so many stems. They're gonna be like a Christmas tree. They're gonna be so full of pods, but they're so thin. The yield still isn't gonna be quite as high as what it could have been. But the pods per plant, I mean, these plants are gonna have like 100 pods per plant. Look at how this is already starting to branch out. Like this over here is gonna be a full-on branch coming up. This is gonna be a full-on branch. This is all brand new growth, new growing points on the plant way down here. If they're planted thicker, they never have stems like that. So I mean, some of these plants in here, man, they're gonna be like so full, but there's gonna be gaps in here. You can see I got some water hemp coming in, or pigweed. So these I'm gonna have to hand pull. I don't want to have a weed issue here in a couple years just because of this 1 year. I should probably throw them off to the side, otherwise they usually start to grow even when you pull them out. But this is probably the area that the beans look the best in. It's direct full sunlight right here, and they seem to be a little bit thicker right here. Not much thicker, but, and then this is the kind of a weaker section of corn right here. It's a little bit shorter than the stuff down there, and the stuff over there is even taller yet. And then it's pretty patchy in here too. So like I said, just not really the best corn, not really the best beans I've ever grown here, but we'll have a decent amount of food. And these beans are getting hit pretty hard right here on the edge of the field. And they're a little bit smaller too, but yeah, they're all branching out already. Look at that. This one's got little side shoots. This is probably the thinnest population of beans I've ever planted in our backyard here. Right up here by this closer section to the house, these beans look pretty good too right here. They have been getting browsed. You can see there's some fresh deer tracks in here, probably from just last night. But this section of corn, this area right up here usually grows the best looking beans or the best corn. It just seems to be the best ground. Fuller, more sunlight here, but it's pretty much the same type of ground. But yeah, this stuff is really taking off. I mean, it's literally almost chest high. I mean, literally a week ago, this stuff was barely waist high, maybe closer to knee high, like a week and a half ago. So, and this corn, you see how it's like splitting like that into like doubles and triples? I've never really, this is some 85-day corn, so I'm not sure how tall this is gonna get. Probably a little bit shorter variety, but it too probably could have been planted a little bit thicker. I mean, there's some gaps in here, you know. That's a 1 foot space. It's another 1 foot gap. Right here, it's a little bit thicker, but this is one plant, even though there's like 3 stems coming off. Right here's the main shoot. This side shoot, I'm not really sure what it's gonna turn into, if it's gonna grow ear or not, but it seems like they're just splitting because they're just making up for the lack of plants in here. I got a little bit thicker double planted section right here where the rows are pretty tight, and these plants really aren't doing that. You can see it right here. Those are 2 separate plants and they don't have those splits on the sides. And right here's another plant that doesn't have it. Right there's 2 more plants. Right there's like every plant over here. This is 2 separate plants probably. And then right here is one that, well, honestly, it looks like everything over here in these tighter rows. I just have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tight rows right here, where they're not splitting like that at the base. And you come up into these 38-inch rows by 30-inch rows, and you get a lot of split bases like that. I mean, that's 1 plant right there. That's like 2 plants. Right here's 1 plant. Just these wider rows, you know, they're just making up for the lost space, I guess. Could have been planted a little bit thicker, but last year I planted a lot of the area down there really thick like that, and a big windstorm knocked like almost everything down. That was silage corn, and the ground was just like it is now, super wet after super heavy rain. It was like 10 foot tall, and it just flattened like almost the whole field. I mean, that's 1 plant. And then we got like almost a 2 foot gap to the next plant, and he's all split at the base too. That one's all split. So it'll be interesting to see. Like here's the main growth, main shoot. If these side shoots here, you can see they got the swirly look to them. It might grow up and get pretty tall and maybe have an ear right here. So it'll be interesting to see that. And right here's a volunteer soybean plant in the 38-inch row. Look at how big and bushed out he is already. So yeah, just kind of interesting to see that. There's the area I was just showing you. Right next to this spot, we have this little broadcasted section of soybeans. Look at how nice and thick this is compared to the stuff down there further. This was planted probably a week before too. But yeah, I wish all my beans looked like this. This is full sun right here too, unlike a lot of that down there. But man, this stuff just really looks good. Nice big healthy leaves. The deer have been hammering this stuff all year long, but it's starting to get to the point where the deer can't even keep up. I mean, if there was more deer here, then they'd probably be able to keep up. These are all really small plots, but there's deer eating on the beans here, but not that many. And then just right before the video's over, I'll show you this little plot. This is a no-till section right here in between the trees. This stuff's really turning out good too. You can see all my old crushed down rye. This will be in a separate video, the planting and the earlier updates. Yeah, thanks for watching. It's probably a really long video, but hopefully you didn't get bored watching all the updates. But I like including all updates in all my food plot videos before I upload anything, because there's really no point of uploading updates in separate videos. But yeah, these beans really look good right here. Last year, these were the last beans that the last food that the deer finished off. This stuff, it's literally only like 50 yards from the house, but we can shine them at night in the wintertime. It's really cool. But yeah, thanks for watching. This video, and man, I got so many videos that I didn't get out, but there'll be probably food plot videos coming out all the way into August, and then Nebraska videos will be coming out in September. So got a lot of stuff to get out. I know it's been slacking a little bit here, but yeah, thanks for watching.